நிறுத்திடு.
வணக்கங்க. இன்னைக்கு ஒரு ரொம்ப முக்கியமான ஒரு கெஸ்ட் நம்ம கூட வந்திருக்காரு, மிஸ்டர் மைக் முரளிதரன். நம்ம நேரா அவரை வரவேற்கிறோம். வணக்கம் சார். குட் ஈவினிங்.
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening. Thank you so much for yes sir. Thank you so much for accepting.
We can't shake hands.
Thank you so much for accepting to be with us for the next 60 minutes. There are a lot of questions which we have, but we have segmented them into three parts. First segment would be about you, sir. How did you enter into this field? Where did you do your schooling, your college, those areas? The second would be on the new normal, and third would be a surprise segment. So I'll start with the first segment. Who is Mr. Mike Muralidharan? Where did he do his schooling? Where did he do his college? And how did he become who he is today?
First of all, Hari, thank you very much for having me in your program. The first thing is, who is Mike Muralidharan? அது தெரிஞ்சா ரொம்ப நல்லா இருக்கும். It's actually an evolution. You're born in a way, you move in a way, then you go to school, you evolve into something. But to give you a small picture, yes, I was born in Chennai. I was in Triplicane, and I was actually in a place where we had all type of communities and everything. In fact, I was in a street where it was fully with a mosque and a lot of Islam friends. And then I went to school to St. Beats, which is a Christian institution. So we all used to go together by bus or cycle to the school. And then that was a very good initiation into how we all have to be closely together as a community. Because afternoon we used to go to the chapel, the prayer hall. I mean, we evolved beautifully as a integrated community, and I think that is something which has helped me a lot. And beyond that, as I completed school, I did my pre-university in Loyola, and those days there were only about 7 engineering colleges, and I should say I was fortunate. After that, I joined the College of Engineering Guindy, which is something amazing. In fact, I should say at this point in time, for a moment, that I would like to pay my respects to our very dear principal of the institution, Professor W.P. Vijayaraghavan, who passed away last evening at a ripe age of about 94. He was a model principal under whom we all studied in the College of Engineering Guindy, which is an iconic 225-year-old institution. And then, of course, when I completed my college, we all about those days there were not too many opportunities in the campus except the PSUs. But yes, I was fortunate to join. Those days the word startup was not there, but I did join a small company, not a company, small unit of a large company. A 60 crore company called Wipro Limited was there, of which we were a small fledgling unit called Information Technology Division. So I joined there, and then Wipro then evolved into a IT company. That was the time in 1977 IBM and others had walked out, and the Indian companies had started to try their adventure into the computer industry. And I was there for about 6 years. Then from one domain to another, I was HCL for about 10 years. And that was another fantastic experience. The first 6 years with Mr. Hashim Premji's company, and the next 10 years with Shiv Nadar's company. And then the entrepreneurial bug bit me, and then I was for a decade in entrepreneurship. Then I exited that. Then I have been with Bhavan Cybertech, which is a multinational major with offices from Santa Clara to Taiwan in the east, and Santa Clara in the west, with offices all over the place. And I've been there for about a decade, and it's an evolution. I would say I've almost evolved through the IT industry's life cycle in India. And today, of course, we are virtually one of the spots in the globe where a lot of IT products and services are based out of India. So I've been fortunate to be in that industry. That's something which I should say. Uh, that's it, Hari.
Okay. In this journey of what were the lessons you learned from the challenges you faced, sir?
Challenges, yes, right through, I always felt that challenges have been there, whether it was in school, whether it was in college, whether it was in work. Uh, One thing is, I was quite interested in sports, and so used to play cricket, not at the highest level, but then at a competitive level. And mostly, I feel that sports is something which really impacts you to learn to fail. In fact, most times when we are successful, we just can't take one failure also. I always say, if you have to win a game of chess, no game of chess has been won without losing a coin. But if you look at it, at childhood days, you'll find when a kid is starting to learn chess, the moment it starts losing, the kid starts losing one or two coins, it'll just push the coins away and feel disappointed that it's losing. But that is something we have to inculcate in life, and that's how we start. And then later on, it was in industry. We are now talking about what you call changes, new normal, and all that. But IT industry per se, compared to other industries, was always changing. If not the way it is today, maybe once in a year or around annual cycles where new things come, new technologies come. Even those days, the cycles were around 3 to 4 years, if not less. So there will be a 8-bit computer, then a 16-bit computer, then a 32-bit computer, then there will be a new type of database. So many things are happening, and so there was always a challenge of you countering something new from competition, and you have to be abreast in terms of knowledge. So this is something which kept going. And of course, in the Indian context, the competition was pretty hard between the companies like Wipro, HCL, those days DCM, ORG, then came Packard, Compaq, IBM. But then the competition always be quite heavy, and so you have to be a lot more reticent, and the tenacity should be there to keep winning in life. So that helped a lot. And one thing I did miss out that, okay, over the last 12 years or so, I have also been on the board of Etraj College for women in Chennai, and I was a chairperson of the college, and that gave a different type of what you call challenge, because you have to make sure that your students and thereof the parents as well should get the best out of the institution, so that when they go out of the portals of the college, they should shine in society. It's not just a career, but in every walk of life, including their smartness, their way of being bold to handle many things. So you find that in every walk of life, you have to make sure that you are ahead of the rest of the pack. So that is something which has been always there. Yeah.
Thank you. Now, when you are part of IT sector, you are explaining about what were the challenges, how did you come up with the solutions for that, and then also on the education front. You're also holding a title with an NGO. So can you elaborate on that, sir?
Oh, yes. That's again a very dear thing in my heart. Alert is an NGO which is very different from most other NGOs. In fact, initially, that's a 14-year-old NGO. But about 6-7 years back, when they were requesting me to be on the board, I was thinking that it's going to consume a bit of time. And I've known some NGOs, but then no, I was later on, when I met the people, I was so inspired because this was very different from other NGOs. In most of the cases, you know whom you're going to serve. If, let me say, I'm going to serve a school or a set of children or I'm going to educate some people or feed some people. I know this is what I'm going to do. Here, alert with the guidance or the goal set by the great Dr. Kalam. He said that we wanted to save lives, especially when people go through emergencies. It could be an accident, it could be a heart attack, it could be anything. But when you have to save life, you have to be ready. But then he did at that point in time tell us, see, there is going to be an ambulance, there is going to be a hospital. You are not a doctor. So when there is an incident, the important thing is the ambulance will come, take the person, and give the patient to the medical professional, hospital. But there is one gap, that is the incident and the ambulance. Between the two, till the ambulance comes, you have to handle it in the best possible fashion, and so that when the ambulance, they take the patient into the ambulance, they have the facility inside the ambulance, so they can then start working on the patient and ensuring that everything is okay. But that is very, very critical. And he said that he didn't say that so many people should be trained. He said one in every family should be trained. And great man, great words. So today, over the last 14 years, we have almost close to 1.5 lakh people we have trained in life-saving techniques. And where I was talking about serving the unknown is that if a person is trained and he's ready, he or she is ready, one does not want somebody to go through an emergency. You do not know when you will land up in a road where you see an accident. You will not know whether in your 100 apartment complex that somebody would have probably a cardiac issue or something like that. So you are going to be ready for a moment which you do not know whether it will happen ever. And when it happens, you would serve. I would say I almost see a parallel between a soldier and a volunteer here. Both are ready for a war which they would never want to happen. But when it happens, they should be accountable, responsible to take it up. That's where alert is, and that inspired me. And I'm now, chairing that particular entity. Okay. Very close to heart, very proud of that.
Okay. Thank you, sir. During your college days, was there anybody who helped you to understand life better? Any professor or any incident which you'd like to share, which is very close to your heart?
See, when it comes to college, definitely I was talking about Professor Vijayaraghavan, the principal. A lot to learn. In fact, he was such a frail-looking person. When you look at him, you'll feel that, you will not feel that he's got anything which is very harsh, or not harsh. Can he be firm? Can he be decisive? Can he be all that? But to tell you something, what I learned is that whether it is a teacher, faculty member, or whether it's a student, or whether it is a support staff, everybody used to look up to him as a leader. In fact, I felt that the students saw him as a student leader. Okay. The faculty saw him as a faculty leader, or the support staff also felt that he is their
one among the leader.
So when each of them are able to see that person, the compassion that he had for all the stakeholders, and seriously so, because when there were very, very tricky situations, those were days when the first time the engineering college during the 1980s, we had a lot of people from the various districts coming in because the policies changed, and a lot of people were able to come from the districts. It was a path-breaking, reservation policy. So many people came, but then they were all not aligned together. Their minds were all stuck to their own villages, their own places. So there used to be conflicts. But I'll tell you something that was so new to the institution and the hostel and everything. But man, he really handled it. And he handled it because the most important thing is that he had the humanity as his core personality trait. And so that is something which I have observed at close quarters, and I feel that it is standing good till today. in
Okay.
college.
In regard with the current scenario, we'll talk about that. The second segment is IT sector before COVID, and what were
Hmm.
the strategies you had in place? What was the culture you had in your workplace, which has helped you to sail through this current strained stage of COVID? What was it you had apart from the hiring people, right people, all those things are certain. It's already taken care by most of the companies. But what is it like? The culture part which you actually imbibed in them, which is helping you now to sail through this COVID phase.
In fact, I should say that at this point in time, I should probably also thank our group CEO, Mr. Durga Prasad, and our chairperson,
Hmm.
Madam Hind Bhavan. See, as an organization, we always cared for the people. In fact, if you take care of your people and seriously take care of their families as well, I'll tell you, when you face a problem, which we did not think Corona would happen anyways, they would all be together with you as a family. That's number one. So culturally, when you're all well bonded, any problem is going to be it is going to be a lot more easier to handle. So that is number one. Number two is that, of course, we as a company which has been in the digital transformation aspect, where we are in an advanced space of technology, we were always well equipped with our systems, connectivity. In fact, for a long time, we have been what you call traveling less globally, and almost all our internal meetings have always been through our video conferences and things like that. So some of these things were not new to us, or rather, we didn't have to change. But yes, when it came to working from home, which is right now the biggest talk of the town, yes, people, when they work from home, the most important thing is they should feel the necessity, the accountability, and the responsibility to work when you are not, somebody is not noticing you,
Watching.
your manager is not with you. Yes, that will happen only when they are having the bondage with the company.
True.
In fact, when the families also feel that bondage, and they know that today, with the stress in business, every company has stress. Even the IT companies have stress. While many times people say, "Okay, you're an IT company, you're not in probably a hotel or any other industry." No,
Hmm,
but
hmm,
then
hmm.
IT companies don't have an industry of our own. We serve these clients. We serve
Yeah,
airlines
true.
industry. We serve pharma. So yes, we've also had some industries which have been stressed. Thankfully, we have a wider portfolio. But most important is that employees know their good performance is what is going to help us retain the business, and in turn, the company can continue to sustain and do well, which in turn is going to help them and their families, what you call, enjoy the fruits as we cross this phase of COVID. That's
Hmm.
what is the thing.
Okay. In regard with apart from the strategy part, apart from the culture part, are there any other steps you have taken, especially post lockdown? Are there any changes
Hmm.
which is going to be any best practices from other parts of India or from outside India? Anything which you're going to be having in your organization, especially the post lockdown I'm talking about?
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Uh, where is it post lockdown? We are still in lockdown.
At least.
No, no, no. In fact, I always believe, Hari, the new normal
Yeah.
is there's nothing normal about it. Okay, and I'll tell you what, true to the thing that the change is the permanent constant. I think today it's a fact. I would be probably lying if I say I know what I'm going to do after this and after this and after this. But most important is the person who will succeed most will be the person who can face the problem as it keeps coming.
Okay.
A simple thing I'll tell you, till about probably, why so much? Till February. I think we were quite cool till even February, even till March 1st, probably, because we
True.
thought this is one more like what do you call a cyclone. We didn't realize the impact of a pandemic. I don't blame anybody. A pandemic has occurred 100 years back, a real pandemic. Nothing of this size. See, I'll tell you, you were talking to me about how one evolves and handles failures and things like that. I was talking about how failures help.
Correct.
I used to always enjoy during my college days when you have an exam where everything is out of syllabus. There are mistakes which happen. Suddenly, one question paper, you'd find that all the questions, 80% of them are not known to you. By some quirk of mistake by the management, university, whatever it is. I mean, it can happen. I mean, after all, it is human. But when that happens, because I was always not, I was a good student, not the best, but then I was always ready to handle anything which is a sudden happening. No? So when you look at it, I'll look around, I'll find that the best student who studied fantastically well, also almost in tears.
Correct.
So then I say, okay, fine, I'm not alone in it. And even the best student is in the same the thing. So the solution is for the one who can innovate and think. Okay. So in those, what do you call it, situations, I used to come up trumps. Trump is not an intentional thing. It just came out. But today what is happening is I feel on the global level, whether it is the advanced countries like the US or European countries or China or developing countries like India, the syllabus is out of syllabus for everybody. The question paper is out of syllabus for everybody. And in fact, that is why I find the resilience that we have been demonstrating as a country. In fact, we may look a little indisciplined, but still we don't seem to be showing fear in our faces. Whereas in all the advanced countries, they actually find that these are difficult times and they're a little more paranoid about these type of situations. So this thing is, it is a fantastic opportunity for us. In fact, and one more thing is, because of the population, domestic market is a huge market. So many skills can survive with even domestic business. Okay. The second thing is, with so much of, I wouldn't want to name countries, but then there is so much of mistrust which is developing across some countries. So trade could shift to India. Yes. How do we get there fast? That is the question. But then, if, let me say, a company which is probably doing perfumes in 10 days flat can shift to doing sanitizers and come to the market and do it, or if somebody else, automobile company, can get into a ventilator business so fast, and a vaccine is almost getting ready. Of course, pray to God that the human trials get through properly. But what I'm saying is, we would normally think these are all stuff that can be made elsewhere, and we are not there. We are not in that space. But today, when we are pushed back, we are the ones who are resilient and we are actually quick to respond. So that is something which we have as a quality. And coming to think of it, till about 3 months back, you asked me the question as to how was your plan and how was your new strategy. Till 3 months back, yes, people talk about a 1-year strategy, 3-year strategy, probably quarterly strategies and things like that. Today, I'll tell you, in March, we felt by April 15th that lockdown will be over. We'll drive out Corona and then we'll be normal. Then we said that is no more normal. Lockdown got extended by another couple of weeks and we started understanding that it's not going to be so easy. Then we coined the word from getting away from it and getting into normal. Now there is a new normal. In my opinion, there is nothing called new normal, because the new normal can keep changing. A simple thing I'll tell you, in IT industry, yes, today we are working from home. Fantastic. People in a lockdown scenario are well within the houses. Okay. And they cannot go out. So they either work or they spend time with the families. That's a good part. As a joke, I got introduced to my family members during this last 100 days. Okay.
Got to know them better.
They've accepted me as well. Okay. Or tolerated me. So what I'm saying is, It is like today we are very focused on our work because we don't have distractions. My thing is, if we immediately feel that the entire workforce can work from home, as the what you call the things settle down, you will find if the cities start bustling, I think there will be distraction. So it's an important factor where we have learned how to work from home. We have learned many ways of doing things, and we will now settle down somewhere midway, where we'll understand what can be seriously done out of home, what necessarily will have to come to offices, what necessarily can be done. Why work from home? Work from your own native place. It's possible. But then all that we have learned some things. It is like they famously say in villages, how do you learn swimming? You get pushed into the pond. Yeah, today, like this thing is that the digital transformation has not been driven by the CTO but by Corona, because we have been pushed to get ready for all that. But this is a fantastic happening. As we move along, we will be able to what you call settle down to the right level of all these things. We cannot be 0 to 100 or 100 to 0. It will be somewhere in between. So, and again, that is where I'm saying it is nothing called the new normal. It is our minds are now working almost constantly. Every time when we say lockdown, we try to understand what is the relaxation, how we can work, and then we try to adapt. And then we think, okay, fine, by July 31st, lockdown will be over. If it is over, we have a different type of problem. If it is not over, we have a different type of problem. And again, globally, some countries may work in different patterns. So that country, if it is normal and we are not in normal, we have to culturally see as to how we are going to service them. I mean, it's a lot of things. Most important thing is, it is like repairing a engine of a car when it is on the road at 120 kilometers per hour. Yes. So we should be ready for that. And I think our minds are working. We'll find ways.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, if a person who's aspiring to enter in this field and say after 6 months or 1 year, if they're planning to enter, what would be the suggestions, advice, tips would you give them in this particular sector?
No, that's what I'm saying. No, today, IT is not a sector. IT is an enabler for all other industry. And the opportunities will be humongous.
Okay.
Today, just going back a couple of years or a year, the autonomous car was not from the stable of Honda or BMW. It was from Google. So IT can get into any space. And I'll tell you, any intelligent person, whether he's 15 or whether he's 65, he can get into it provided he has a transformational solution on hand. And the opportunity is humongous. In fact, I'll tell you, like whatever all these vaccines and all these things which are evolving, there are many new ideas which are coming up. In fact, in Bhavan Cybertech, we've got a division called Drop Thought, in which we have evolved a fantastically effective contact tracer for tracing the way how associates move around and about how we can track COVID affected people and things like that. I mean, so that you are well protected. I'll not get into that in detail. But what I'm saying is, no, opportunities are humongous, and it's just that as long as you have it, you should jump in. Why wait for 6 months? In fact, many opportunities have been created now, because now is the problem, and now is the solution required. And if no more at the thing, the new normal is have a plan, jump into it. Don't wait for 6 months. In fact, 6 months later, typically, if you're waiting for the things to settle down, I think that's the worst thing that can happen. Because I think your idea may not be valid at all.
At that point of time.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But it's a fantastic time. If you look at any threat, it can be an opportunity.
Okay. one thing what I understood actually from this 30 minutes of talking with you is like, whatever may be the situation, come what may, like if you're ready to face it, and that kind of deep rooted strength comes from, uh, of course, the way we were raised, and also the knowledge, skill, attitude, all those things are there, but still people who are around us. And are there any special moments with your friends from your college days which you'd like to share, or from your work early career days which you'd like to recollect now and share? Any pleasant memories from your early days?
There are quite a few. In fact, the most important thing is when I used to go with some of my senior members during my work days, it was great learning. In fact, there was a stage when one of my first bosses, Mr. A. Sridhar in Wipro, he's in the US right now, fantastic human being. We went. I had a problem. I had quoted something which was not workable, and it was the price was wrong. Everything was wrong. Then he simply said, "Mike, don't worry. I was probably 6 months into the company." He said, "Let's go. Take me also. Let me go there." And we went there, and I saw how he transformed that situation to a positive side. He completely, what you call, made, first of all, he won the trust of the other person by his knowledge of the computer industry. Then he became a consultant over the next 5 minutes to say what he should have, and then sort of said, "This young boy, he did not know your problem, so he has probably given you something different. Now I'll tell you, this is what you should take." So that was set aside, and a new proposal was given. And from a situation of where I could have been admonished and possibly told that I'm useless, he showed how a problem or a situation like that can be used to our advantage. And those are the type of learnings, in life. You realize that you can definitely, what you call, turn a situation to positive aspect at any stage. It's not, you should never let yourself bog down.
Okay. Are there any best practices which you're seeing in other industries which are interested in knowing, or which could be adapted in IT?
See, best practices, of course, IT as an industry, because it is extremely technology oriented, there are best practices. Okay. However, sometimes you can make errors, like in, what do you call, you can take chances with your health situation, primarily because you may tend to work much longer. A factory environment can possibly, there would be much more disciplined timelines. Here, since we work at all global zones, when I'm talking about Santa Clara to Taiwan, you will find that the day can start very early and the night can extend, and it can go on. So over a period of time, we think we can take it, and we continue to take it. So somewhere I think we should draw the line there. But yes, in fact, with the work from home, it's becoming much more intense, because we feel that we can do it because we're able to do it, but whether it will affect our health, we don't know. And in the case of other industries, I find that they work to plan much more. An automobile industry or things like that, where all those disciplines are much better. So probably they go to a plant at this time, evening, when the bus leaves, they come back. The rest of it is slightly, what do you call, the family time is different and things like that. Here it's a little mixed, but then fact is we all enjoy it too. That's the problem.
Okay. Okay. Now, when it comes to actually best practices part, you have explained. But when it comes to actually, like, there are areas where we discuss and we plan, as you said, like, sometimes it doesn't go that way. And then how do you ensure the morale of the participants of the company or the staff members, consultants, how do you ensure that? Because in person while working is a different scenario, but with this kind of setup where it's all through online, how do you ensure that, or what is any model in place?
No, in fact, if everything is perfectly working all the time, then I don't think we require any of us to be there. Number one. Number two, as I earlier told you, if the everybody's mind at various positions are able to take situations when they slip, the first thing is, unless you are calm, you cannot make a correction. If you feel disappointed with the slippage, you will not be able to solve the problem. You will possibly be focusing on the person who probably contributed to slippage. You may probably be angry. You'll first of all, as you rightly said, not that he will be demotivated, but you will not even have his support to make it successful. You get it, no? So fundamentally, I feel that right through, I always believe that a person in your team is there because he is capable. And he is not going to do something wishfully to err. An error is going to always happen. That is where the human element comes in. And when the error happens, the first thing is, if I put a hand around his shoulder and say, don't worry about it, let us now see how we solve it. Because that is the reality. No, you have to solve the problem. There's no point discussing over the issue and possibly making the person feeling more miserable. And I feel all along, one more thing which is very important is, mostly the problems come to the table after the failure occurs, is because of the fear that they feel they should not tell you. Because if they come and tell you that something is going wrong, you may feel upset. I ensure that people can come and tell me that I think this is going to fail, or I think this order is going to be lost. When it comes to you, probably say so many time points before that, depending on the situation. No, for an order, it could be a week before, or for a project, it could be a month before, when things are slipping and things like that. And then what happens is, you would have enough time to correct it before it really fails. So when can that happen? When you have a motivated workforce who trusts the boss, who feel that when I have a problem, if I go to my boss, he will not shout at me, but he will solve the problem for me. I think so. You can reduce the number of times failures can happen if you have a support team, or the team that works with you, who can come fearlessly in front of you and say, boss, I'm going to fail. I need your support.
Okay. Because that's more important, especially in a time like this. That's why I was touching on that.
Absolutely.
Now, a lot of mobile apps have been banned. And also today there was forward circulating 30 more apps. We were asked to, we were not given access to 59. And then I saw another 30 more added. And that's some forward which is being shared. How do you see this? I already saw some of the apps equivalent to that have already started coming up, and also some of online platforms for webinars are also. Yesterday I saw with a lot of updates on a daily basis. I'm also seeing that. So how do you see the scenario with all this sudden surge of all apps coming up from Indian side?
It's a great opportunity. That's what I'm saying. No, you said, when should the person come in? Believe me, there are people who have already been there, but possibly either we did not accept them as their products or whatever. But now, believe me, Hari, could they have got a product in 1 day, 24 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours? Which means all the work has already gone in. We had the capability, but somewhere, we think that we are not good enough for our own selves. On a different note, I always believe that we find that the best of universities are elsewhere and not in India. But paradoxically, the first university, the Nalanda University, was in India. So I think it is just that we are unearthing the innate talent in us, and you gave me the answer. Everybody has already been working on it, but then they didn't find acceptance. Now, when forced, why even if another 150 things are pushed out of the system, there would be many people in India who will come with solutions, and I wish that comes out, and then I wish that actually makes us much more resilient, and our dependence on the. I mean, I'm not saying that we should not use other products from elsewhere, but we should trust our skills. We should trust our abilities. If we can serve a US company, if a Sundar Pichai can head a US company, if a Satya Nadella can head a US company, why not a person in India who's heading such a company not create the same thing? They are creating it. I'm absolutely delighted about it.
Good. Thank you, sir. Now we're coming to the third segment, which focuses on few surprise questions are there, and then also there are certain areas where you'll be thanking
the new people. Normal. The new normal.
Okay, now you have a time machine and you're able to go back to your 20-year-old. The present Mr. Mike Murali is going to the 20-year-old Mr. Mike Murali, and then if this person gives an advice to the 20-year-old, what would be that advice?
See, I'll tell you one thing. If today I was a 20-year-old, my life would have been will be very different, in the sense I would simply jump into doing something which is exciting, something out of the ordinary, with absolute what you call bravado. If it is 20-25 years back, the situation was very different. In fact, why I'm saying that is, sometimes it's easy to give advice.
Okay.
I would say that, for example, I told you, those days there was no startup and Wipro or HCL. They were all companies which were formed when there was no liberalization. I mean, the whole evolution of India itself was after 91. So if I say what I'm doing today, what I advise today could not have been done in 1991. After 91, a lot of things changed. Even companies like Wipro and HCL, which were small companies till then, after the liberalization, they just broke open, hell broke loose, and they became billion-dollar companies. And in fact, they were all sort of guiding lights for companies like us. We moved in. But now, we are now moving from services space to IP, intellectual products. We are really creating some world-class products. So what I'm saying is, most important is live by the day. If somebody were a 20-year-old today, I'll say, like jumping into the pond to swim without knowing, jump into it as long as you believe in what you can do. I mean, I'm telling you, it is like everybody is born the same manner, with the same skill set, but then we just later on think, how is Mr. X so successful? But I always say, in my college, whenever I see the audience, I used to say, we have recently, we had last year Divya Suryadevara, who became the CFO of General Motors. In 110 years, she was the first CFO of General Motors, and she is from Etiraj. I used to tell people that she would have been sitting in the same auditorium without realizing she'll reach there.
True.
But all the 1,000 people sitting in the auditorium will have the same capability. But the one who thinks I can fly that high will fly. One who looks around and says, this is what I deserve will. In fact, I would say you define what you deserve.
Okay.
You deserve what you define of yourself. Right. So that is what I feel. I think the capability, the simple example is, you're talking about how many apps are coming in the last 48 to 72 hours.
True.
All were there, no? Then why didn't they come out? If they can do whatever any of the other apps could do, why didn't they come out? That is because of the same reason. We can do brilliant stuff, and the only thing is break loose and come out. to anybody. Why today? Not even 20-year-old, 12 and 15-year-olds are coming out like that. So
True.
it's fantastic time for all of these people. I'm sure that will be great times for India.
We have, thank you, sir. We have quite a few viewers. We have Mr. Anuj Kaura from Delhi,
Oh,
and then
I don't know.
Shiva, and then we have Sivaram. We
Oh,
also
Sivaram
have
from Malaysia.
Malaysia is there, and then we have
Oh, yeah.
Velur Janathan Sivaraman.
Oh,
He's
my
enjoying our
uncle.
show.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, fantastic.
Okay. And we have
I saw.
Mr.
I saw.
Ravindra.
Oh, yeah. Fantastic,
Okay.
Ravindra.
Okay. We have
Great. And
Miss
I saw Arvind Jaibal. I saw.
yes,
Then
yes,
my
Miss
classmate Chandrasekhar. I saw.
Arvind is
Oh,
here,
yeah.
and then we and also Mr. Chandrasekhar. Okay. Uh,
Chandrasekhar. Yes, he's my schoolmate. Fantastic. I mean, I think lovely to see my schoolmate here. St. Beats. We were all products of St. Beats. Fantastic,
Sen
Chandra.
Sen Beats is it? Okay.
Yes,
So
yes.
now, if you'd like to thank people who have mentored you, personally or professionally, you can go ahead and thank them. People from
I,
both the friends.
yeah. No. I'll tell you. See, it's something which is interesting. Like I told you, Professor Vijayaraghavan was somebody whom I would always remember because I imbibed a lot of things from him. In school, we had a teacher by name Mr. Krishnaraj who taught us maths. Now that P. Chandrasekhar is there, he will also remember. Fantastic. We learned more about how to think, not just the maths, how to think, how to analyze, because it was a stage schools where memorizing, no? He taught us how to think. And we had another teacher by name Mr. Rajamani who taught us Tamil. He used to be a very practical person. I mean, we learned lots of things from people who were very different. And then, of course, I was I told you about Mr. A.V. Sridhar. Then my college senior, Krishna Kumar, who was the executive chairman of Mindtree. He was my senior in Wipro as well. So, a lot to learn from him. And of course, Premji and Shivnad are two different poles apart, but then lot to learn from both, and that is standing us in good stead when when I took up entrepreneurship, and now when I'm the chief operating officer of this company. And of course, in the last decade, who's Durga Prasad, our group CEO. He's a senior in my college, and then we were together in HCL, and then right now he's the group CEO of the company. Lots to learn from him daily, because we just interact as friends, but then some brilliant thoughts come from people. So I mean, more importantly, Hari, I think the world is such a, what do you call, a vast place. I'll tell you, I can learn from probably a vegetable vendor in the street corner, or when I walk without a mask and when he is wearing one. That's the worst thing that I can do, and it just puts you to shame, and you understand that you should behave better. So learning is an ongoing process, and I just learn from every moment from everybody. In fact, at the end of this hour, I think I would have learned a lot from you. I think you smile a lot, and that is something brilliant. I mean, it makes, I'm sure the audience would always love a smiling face, and you've got a great quality of keeping that smile all along.
Thank you, sir. Now, the next surprise question is: if you are the CM, what are the 3 things you would like to change in Tamil Nadu?
You've gone to Mudalvan movie. It's a one day. No, I'll tell you. The first thing is. I think people are doing good, but I believe that many times some very, very simple thought processes become complicated due to the position and the filter mechanisms that exist before the ideas reach them. Many times what happens is, I have been in many conversations with people who are experts and things like that. Brilliant ideas are there, but by the time it gets into an action spot, it gets filtered down.
Or lost in the
Sometimes
process?
Exactly. Sometimes I feel a dictator type of a scenario helps in some situations like this, because somebody has to say, come what may, this has to happen. Here, I think in a democracy, by the time you ask 15 people their opinion, the problem itself has become different. I
Solution
mean,
has become a
for
problem.
example, so yeah, that's a fresh problem. So that's a fresh problem. In fact, there are times when, for example, if let me say there is a plan that in next 60 days we will come out with a plan as to how the finance, what do you call, package will reach people. The next 60 days it will be very different. I'm just saying. So there are things which will have to happen just now, and for that it has to be a different thing, or somebody should say, okay, I mean, it is a little complicated, but definitely I'll tell you, inclusive the public inclusion in the decision making has to be much more. I mean, I would not like to say 1, 2, 3, but then the fact is, the public, because at the end of it, the public is the person who needs to get the benefit of the whole thing, and they would probably know best about what they want, rather than the people who are a little too distant, not with a bad intention, but sometimes their defining of what is a problem could be very different from what the real problem the public faces.
So the local government and convergence, all these things will definitely help.
I think that is why we have that panchayats and things like that, because that spot knows what is most required in those spaces. Yes.
Okay. And we've come to the final section, sir. Is there any advice which you would like to give in this journey, what you have had, what you have learned, you'd like to share to the viewers, sir? We also have a few more people joining us. I'll just run through their names.
Sure.
We have Miss Usha Priya, and we have Rajesh is here.
Thank you.
Okay, and we have Rajesh with us, Trivedi, Mr. Rajesh Trivedi. Alert. And then we have Mr. Murali Satya.
Oh yeah, my old colleague in HCL. Fantastic, Murali. Thanks for joining.
Okay, and we have Mr. Kalirajan Manimuthu.
Kali Rajan is my colleague in Bhavan Cybertech. Fantastic. Nice to see him here as well. A lot of people. Professor Ravi, Professor Ravichandran.
Mr. Ravichandran.
Yeah.
And Mr. Miss Jayanti.
Jayanti from Karlo. Yeah. Fantastic. Yeah.
So over to you, sir.
Yeah. So where were we?
We were the advice. What have you learned?
I hate to listen to advices, so I would like to not give advices. But at the same time, what I would say is, I think we have to build for everybody. It's
lessons
not Jude from Singapore, my classmate from College of Engineering, Gindi. Fantastic.
Okay.
Jude is here. Yeah. No, I think we had these are all people from whom I've learned a lot. He was the president of the college. Jude was the president of our college in those days. So fantastic student leader. Okay. So this thing is, I think, as a community, as a race, I think with the type of new normal, I won't call it new normal, which is, the fact is, it's going to be constantly changing. We don't know how long. Unlike a cyclone or something, it's not going to have a, what do you call, a window. It's going. We don't know how long. People say this another 6 months, another 12 months, another 18 months, and maybe when we solve this problem, something else. So I would not like to say that what is most important is an ability to quickly learn and quickly do anything, which means your learning ability has to be intact. You cannot say, I knew this and I'm waiting for this pandemic to go and then I'll use that skill and do something. You cannot. You have to be on the run. You have to keep learning, and something else will come. 6 months later, when you thought you solved this problem, did we think there will be a foolish war at this point in time when everybody is trying to save their lives? I think that is something which you didn't expect. I mean, so the soldiers, Will they look at masks and will they look at all these things, or will they take the gun and shoot? So I'll tell you, new problems will keep presenting will be presented in front of us, and for that you have to have new solutions, which means there could be some very new things to be learned. Even the last 48 72 hours, if something was done, somebody could have even anticipated this type of an issue when about 3-4 months back, when people were saying that the Chinese what do you call could be the problem. Therefore somebody could have put their head in and started developing apps 3-4 months back, anticipating a situation. That is very smart, no?
True.
I'll tell you. So I wouldn't call it advice. I only suggestion would be, just keep your learning ability intact. In fact, you try to improve that as well. I'll tell you, when we were a kid, when we were born, we didn't need anybody's prop to learn the mother tongue. We just learned it. We listened to our mother syllables and we learned. And then after a while, I mean, that is why during the 3, 4, 5 years, if a baby is born in any country or any state, the kid will learn 3, 4 languages beautifully, easily. But whereas after about 4, 5 years, we start depending on a prop, a facilitator. And then after about 15 years, when we want to learn French, we learn through English. When we want to learn some other language, we require a medium.
True.
So what happens is, we have started to build that, lose that innate ability. So my only thing is, we had that ability to learn anything which no assistant when we were born. We lose that, and over a period of time, we look for assisted learning. I'm saying, try to retain that original ability as a race. I'm telling you, that is most important. And then I'll tell you, all these apps, why apps, anything can be done without much of a problem, and we'll be on top.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. And one thing I like throughout this 60 minutes is, there are two areas which you focus. One is, like, come what may, once you're in the right mind frame, whatever may be the situation, whatever is presented to you, once a mind frame is set, then it is easy to handle. That's one thing which I saw in different versions and different forms, but that core area was focused. And second thing is, believing that I'll be able to handle it with that right mind frame is the second thing which I saw, like, right mind frame, and then believing oneself. Thank you so much. A lot of information we gathered in this past 60 minutes, 58 minutes. And one more thing, what I also noticed is the amount of energy and enthusiasm when you're answering also shows the level of the, saying an answer, replying an answer is one thing, but then when you spoke from your heart, it actually was showing, and I can see that from the comments as well, sir.
No. Thanks. In fact, one of the things is, I should say, you are talking about other things. I have really learned some things from my parents. When I'm saying that, my father would never have any expectation ever. If I achieve something, if I go to him, he'll say, I'm very happy. If something is not done, he will not be unhappy. I mean, that's a very important quality. Then what happens is, any decision you take, it's a great learning. And of course, my mother, she always, no problem is a problem for her. She'll solve any problem anytime. I mean, she'll have 4 solutions for every problem. So I think she should have been the CM. You asked, no? She would have solved the problem. Okay. So, I think these are all probably in the system, no, as a DNA. I think that's how. My brother Balakrishnan is there. Fantastic. Okay. Nice.
So one question which I wanted to ask in the beginning, then I skipped it, but I really want to ask before we finish.
Absolutely.
Can you tell the reason for Mike in your name, Mr. Mike Muralidharan? Mike, can you tell the story behind that?
When I was first called, it was not Mr. Mike, it was Mike. Okay. I'll tell you why. Because it was in my school days, when I was probably 14, 15, when during my cricket playing days, on the field, I mean, we had n number of Ravis and n number of Murlis, and everybody had one nickname. and
Okay.
somehow this nickname stuck on to me. And
Okay.
as I moved to Loyola for pre-university, again my classmates came along, and so many Murlis, and I used to be called Mike. And in that 1 year, everybody who knew me from a distance as a friend, they all used to call me Mike. Then I joined
Okay.
engineering, continued,
Okay.
and
Okay.
the next thing was I till then no, it is all like more of college friends. But when I joined Wipro, we were six of us from my college, Guinea Engineering College, College of Engineering,
Okay.
fantastic. My alma mater, my Thai video, if I can call it. Okay, it's a
Okay.
fantastic place.
Okay.
Yeah. And then from there, what happened was when we moved to Wipro, we were 26 in a batch, graduate engineer
Okay.
trainees, and we were about three Murlis. And my six
Okay.
classmates used to
Oh.
call me Mike, and that continued.
Uh,
But
okay.
as it moved along, I found that clients were calling me Mike.
Okay.
And I'll tell you, that is something which, what do you call, made an impact on me. And then I realized more than me liking it, others started liking it. So
Like,
it was nice to call me Mike. Then I think I shouldn't stop that pleasure. So I
and
allowed
then
them to pleasure. And then over a period of time, during the internet days in the last about a decade, uh, the my marketing communication head, she fixed Mike. Earlier, I used to be called as VM Muralidharan, fondly
correct.
called Mike. She made it Mike Muralidharan.
Okay.
And then after a few days, I found that people could easily locate me when they
Okay.
search for me. And
Okay.
everybody anyway called me Mike Muralidharan. And fantastic. I think it made you ask me a question.
Yes.
That is
And
such a,
we have one googly. Mr. Jude
uh,
has asked, Dr. Hari, can you find out when Mr. Mike will be entering politics? We all are support behind him.
oh God. dude, dude, he was the president of the college, and I thought he should lead us into politics. But then he's got the question of me. See, honestly speaking, I'll tell you something. I believe, like my friend C.K. Kumaravel says, everybody
Hmm.
should be in politics. But then
Okay.
I feel that to be a politician,
Hmm.
it's got a different what do you call metal that you should have, and so I don't think I'm groomed yet for that. But definitely, I like politics. I analyze politics. I debate and discuss politics. And dear Jude, I'll tell you how you will enter politics, and then I'll join you too. Okay. But then,
And
yes,
we,
it's an interview space, but I don't believe that it is something negative. In fact, that
okay.
is not in my mind. Politics is not a negative thing, but I think it needs something which definitely is very interesting thing.
Okay.
Yes, Joe.
Okay. We have Mr. Janarthanam Sivarama.
Oh yeah, my uncle.
Okay. Oh, uncle,
Oh
he
yeah.
said,
Yeah, no, no. See, we all belong to the Etraj College family, the Veloz
okay.
family.
Okay.
So I think probably he feels that whatever I have been talking, so
Is
his mouthpiece of all of us is out.
I'm from
Yeah,
Vellore
yeah,
as well,
yeah.
sir.
Oh yeah, fantastic, fantastic.
Okay.
Uh,
Thank you so much for your time, sir. Is there anything you'd like to share? We have covered everything. Is there anything I've left out? Would like to share
No, no, no.
anything?
I think in fact, I did not feel with social distancing how we can have a conversation which is as friendly like this. I think you did a great job on that front, and
Okay. Thank
I would not like to piece and say this is what was my message or something like that. I would say that okay, we just conversed, and if let me say there is something which uh, anybody finds it interesting, it's fantastic. And I would definitely, I have learned a lot during the conversation from you, Harry.
Thank
And,
you, sir.
it's an evolution, as I say. In the last 1 hour, I think I've evolved a little more than what I was 1 hour earlier. I think that is what I believe life is. And I definitely wish everybody who's seeing this program to stay safe and be ready to face
Right.
every day as a new day, and don't think that the new normal is this. There is no defined new normal. Every day is going to be different, and we should be ready to face that rather than saying, I did not think it is going to be this in August 1st. On August 1st, it could be the same or it could be different, but we should be ready to face that at that moment. I think that is what all of us should be geared with. So I had a fantastic evening, I should say.
Thank you, sir. Likewise, the feeling is mutual. Thank you so much for your time, sir. And
Thank you.
lot of interesting things were discussed. And as you said, like 60 minutes passed by, and I didn't even realize actually after 20th, and then I suddenly saw 50th. So 30 minutes in between, like it flew. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Hari. Thanks a lot. May God bless.
Thank you. We're in a power pack session with Mr. Mike Muralidharan. We'll meet another episode with another interesting personality. Thank you.